Hello, welcome back to another video. Now today we're going to be delving into some Champions League fantasy football. Now obviously before over the international break, I came back and there were about 6 or 7 injuries that needed to be dealt with. I dealt with a few of those, but today we're just going to be taking a look at how the team sort of shapes up for Game Week 5 of Champions League fantasy action, and also how I'm sort of dealing with a couple of those injuries this week with the 2 free transfers that we get given. I'm really trying to push for like 200 subscriber mark, so if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button if you're new around here, leave a like if you enjoy the video. Without further ado, let's get straight into this. So first, if we take a look at the attack, we've got Haaland and Lewandowski up front. Haaland actually playing in the second sort of game of fixtures on the 2nd of December, and Lewandowski playing on the 1st, which is why he's got the captaincy on bag, a very kind of safe, solid option, especially when he's playing on that first day, to lob him as the captaincy. Even though they are playing against Atletico Madrid haven't actually been too great this year defensively, so I'm hoping that he can bag some points there and send me up the leaderboards. Then take a look at the midfield, and this is kind of an area where I didn't put too much money into, but where I got kind of hit a little bit hard previously. Obviously, Raheem Sterling did okay in the previous week, just grabbed an assist, but Casemiro wasn't available. Then we had Tete and Barrios, obviously banking. Obviously, Barrios is decent just for picking up the kind of 4 or 5 pointers, but he got a yellow card, so I think he only ended up on 3 points last week, and Tete hasn't really been doing it. But I play him because he's cheap, and if he doesn't do anything, I can just transfer him out, and if he does something, great, I'll leave him in there. But I think in general, the midfield, I'm reasonably happy with, just because of the players I know that I can sort of bring off of the bench and sort of bring into the side instead of these players. But the midfield I'm generally happy with, because I know I can bring a lot of players sort of off the bench to swap around. I may even, because I think Barrios plays on the 2nd day, so I've got a couple of players on the bench that I'd probably rather start over Barrios. But he's just sort of filling that spot at the minute. Now we look at the defence, and I didn't do too much actual research, which has been to my downfall a little bit on Champions League fantasy. I need to do a little bit more research regarding players like, for example, Kimmich. Didn't realise that he was injured previously, but I think Munier looks fine. He's my sort of transfer this week from Trent Alexander-Arnold, who seems to be out for a long period of time, to Munier. If you look at his stats, he's been sort of picking up plenty of points week by week. Dortmund have actually shown in the last few games that they have got a decent defence. They started off not so great, but Munier coming in, I thought instead of Guerrero, yes, Guerrero looks better going forward, but I've got some plans in terms of, you know, who I'm going to bring in the future, and for $1 million less, I think Munier is just as good of an option. And they also both get the same clean sheet points. Then for the rest of the defence, we've got Diego Carlos, Chilwell and Zumas with a double up on Chelsea here. So realistically, I want this game to at least be a Chelsea clean sheet. Previously, this game in the Champions League was 0-0. If that happened this time, unbelievable for my team, especially when you see what I've got on the bench. It was a shame that Sportiello for Atalanta did not play in the game against Liverpool. I had him in there as just sort of like, you know, a 4.5 million starting goalkeeper who would just play each game. If he picked up points, great, but because he's playing on the first game week each time, then I can just sub him out. And the one game week where they decide to go and get a clean sheet, he's actually ends up injured, so that was great. I've lobbed him in there again just because he is playing on the first day, so if he does end up playing, if he is back, which I'll take a look at, but if he is back, do end up getting a clean sheet, that's absolutely wonderful. I don't need to change out the goalkeeper. Then taking a look at the bench, and this is where the kind of real rotation happens. As I mentioned, I was potentially not going to play Barrios, and that's because I do have Morata on the bench, and they do play on the same day, so I'm most likely going to swap Morata for Barrios, but I'm also most likely going to swap Morata for Tete anyway, because Tete hasn't really been firing in previous week. So just think of that kind of Morata on the bench as Barrios, or the other way around. They most likely will both be there come the end of the game weeks where my points tally is totaled up. And we also have Edouard Mendy there. So actually, I don't just have a double up on Chelsea, I've got a triple up on Chelsea. Their defence has been so solid so far this season in the Premier League and the Champions League. You know, if they bag a clean sheet, I'm going to be absolutely flying. Obviously, it's probably not the greatest of strategies. Last week, I was just kind of looking, I did my transfers quickly, and I was like, right, who's got good fixtures, who's been solid? I know that Chelsea have been solid because I watch Chelsea, I watch the Premier League. I don't spend too much time watching the other league, so I know more about those players. I know that I can back them more than I'd have faith in backing other players. Obviously, in order to do really well in UCL fantasy, you need to have more knowledge than I probably do. But I'm hoping that Chelsea can pick up a clean sheet and send me flying up the leaderboards, because a clean sheet from Chelsea will bank me so many points. Then obviously you see the last of the kind of injuries that I've had to deal with, and Kimmich is still there. He'll be taken out next week. The thing with taking out Kimmich is it's quite nice. I can downgrade him to potentially Pavard, and then I've got sort of 3 odd mil in the bank, so I can upgrade a Casemiro, a Teti, even a Keteleri to someone like Diego Jota or Ferran Torres, who are banging in the Champions League of late. So I think those kind of players are definitely looking at with my two transfers next week. Thank you for watching this quick little preview team selection for Game Week 5 of UCL Fantasy Football action. Hope you have enjoyed. If you don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll catch you in the next one.